All right, and joining me today is Orlando Prins, who fights Harry Hardwick at Cage Warriors 172. That fight Saturday, May 25th, and it is for the vacant featherweight title. So, Orlando, I wanted to start here. Obviously, you were already preparing to be on this fight card. You know, you're on the main card, getting ready for a fight with Mulata Hadi. You find out your opponent dropped out. Give us the timeline. How long were you like without an opponent? How long did you know that that fight wasn't happening?
Um, I think around 1.5 week or something like that. Yeah, I guess 1.5 week.
And so then, you know, with the 1.5 weeks, obviously they're looking for a new opponent. You're looking for trying to figure out, you know, what you're going to do next. Were you worried you weren't going to have an opponent? Were you pretty confident that they were going to find one? How quick did all that happen?
Nah, like in the beginning, I was pretty confident they would get a new opponent, but it didn't seem like they were like really rushing to get me a new opponent. In the meantime, they just a little bit before, one of my students, he signed a contract with Cage Warriors and he got like an opponent on the same card as well. And it didn't seem like they were gonna get me something. I asked for a bunch of names. I asked for I think like 7 or 8 names. No one was available. I told them I would go up to 155 and no one was available there either. And they were like, we already had like a deadline where we were like, okay, if there's nothing on uh going to be on last Monday, we were not going to fight. We were like, okay, we're not going to do like such a short notice fight, and we did all the preparation, and yeah, we didn't want to jump in like last week because there's a lot going into a fight, of course. Like we have to do a lot of logistics and everything. So I was like, okay, if it's not going to come, then I'm just going to look at another date and see what's next.
And so then obviously they finally make that phone call to you. And it's not just that they got you a replaced opponent, they got you a high
Yeah.
level replacement opponent, and they're going to put the belt on the line for it. So give me a little bit of what your reaction was when that was, you know, you had pretty much decided you might not get a fight. And that's what they come to you with.
Yeah, so I was still doing my training, but like Um, and I didn't take my foot off the gas too much. And then I got the phone call on Monday afternoon while I was doing my strength and conditioning. It was my manager. He was like, call me, call me, call me. And I was like, okay. So I call him back and he's like, would you like to fight Harry Hardwick for the vacant title? I'm like, duh, like, of course. So it was like, it was a surreal feeling, because I was already like resigning to the fact like it's Monday, this is the deadline and probably not going to get a fight, and then yeah, I went to like not having a fight to like being the main event and fighting for the vacant title, which is yeah, absolutely nuts.
Awesome roller coaster to be on. Now, I also got to obviously ask about the preparation because, like you said, you're getting to the point where you felt like you didn't want to jump into something with no time to prepare. And now, not only are you
Mhm.
doing that, you know, you were at the like uppermost limit of how much time you'd prepare. And now the opponent is kicked up a notch. You know, not that Mulata Hadi was not a good opponent, but, you know, now you're preparing for Harry Hardwick, a guy who fights, you know, pretty differently from Mulata Hadi. What was the
Yeah.
big changes in as far as your camp goes in this last week or so?
Well, you can't make really crazy adjustments anymore, like this short timeout. Um, and to be honest, I think like Milad, he's like he presents like a different problem than Harry, of course. Like he's a very skilled, slick, like counter striker and moves backwards a lot. And Harry likes to move forward a lot. And I like to move forward a lot as well. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. Very interesting in the terms of like who's going to push the other one backwards. And obviously, we have some plans in mind. What we some plans of some roads to victory for us, and we obviously made like a threat assessment as well. Like, okay, what are Harry's strengths and weaknesses, and what are his paths to victory, and what are our paths to victory? And we were like, yeah, we're pretty confident in this fight.
Well, I'm sure you've done it like a ton of film and your coaches have been all over it too. But can I ask how familiar you were with Harry Hardwick's game already? Was he a guy who was kind of on your radar as somebody you were planning on fighting in the future?
Yeah, it's a funny story actually. When I fought Samuel Bart, um, we were at like the New Year's Eve party, and I saw Harry there, and I knew he was watching the fight, and I told the matchmaker Ian Dean, like, I would like to fight this guy like in the near future, and he told me like, I don't think you're ready for him yet, like, and I'm like, you'll see, I'll be fighting him soon, and yeah, like 2 years later, or like 1.5 year later, we're here, and yeah, I've been watching all. I think I watched all of his recent fights. I think I saw the fights live because obviously I like to watch the promotion Cage Warriors as well. So um I usually try to catch on all the fights, like all the top contenders in the division. Try to keep my eye on them. And yeah, I was pretty familiar with his game, but now obviously like I dove a little bit deeper into it and got a little bit more a feel for like what his real strengths and weaknesses are right now.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about that fight too, but I did also want to ask you about, like obviously this is a big moment, right? Like you're going to be fighting as a headliner for a title for Cage Warriors or promotion. Like you said, it's the biggest one in Europe right now for the most part.
Hmm.
If you knew that you were going to be fighting for a title, I'm assuming you'd have tons more people flying out to Manchester, right? So, do you got people hitting you up last second trying to find ways out there? Do you already have a ton of people out there? What's it look like?
So we have like uh, I think 30 people flying out already. I already had people like flying out for the fight because we thought we were the co-main event.
Mm.
So that was already a huge deal for me. And yeah, so now we only like brought even more people. But like exactly, like if we would have knew like a little bit more like a little bit more in advance that it would have been a title fight, I would have probably like brought like 100 people at least because I have a huge following back home. Cage Warriors doesn't really know about it. I think they're a little bit like um uh they don't really know like how much of a pull I have over here in Holland and how much of a following I have here in Holland. I have a really loyal fan base here and a lot of students that follow me all around the world to see me fight as well. So if they would have gave me the opportunity to like promote it properly, I would have brought like 100 to 150 people easily.
I love that. Now, is that a future hope of yours? Obviously, you got a big pull out there. You become the featherweight champion next weekend. Is that the hope that like maybe one day we can get a fight card out there so you could show them really what the pull is in Amsterdam?
100%. Like, yeah, when I win the title, um, the goal is going to be to defend the title in Holland, of course. And I would really like for them to like make a show in my hometown, and I think we could easily sell out the show, sell out the arena,
Uh,
100%. Put a few of my students on the undercard. Uh, yeah, it would be an amazing show.
I dig that. I'd love to see it. Now, you mentioned let's get back to the fight. You mentioned Harry Hardwick is a guy moves forward. You yourself like to move forward. It's a fight that's sure to excite the fans, but I always end these things with a prediction. So, can you give us how do you feel like this one's going to end come May 25th?
Yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be a very explosive beginning. He's going to come storming forward. And I, uh, I really think if he comes forward too recklessly, he's going to walk into something big, and I'm going to stop him early.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. This has been Orlando Prins, who fights Harry Hardwick for the Cage Warriors featherweight belt at Cage Warriors 172 this Saturday, May 25th. Orlando, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, brother. Anytime.